Substantial evidence documents reading recovery success with the lowest performing first graders. So can other groups of children benefit from reading recovery theory and procedures? Because reading recovery procedures are designed for adapting the instruction to the learning needs of individual children, Mari Clay, the developer of reading recovery, proposed that the procedures could be designed to reach other children who are struggling with early reading and writing behaviors, but are not eligible for reading recovery. She specifically named two groups of children: English learners and children identified for special education services related to literacy. This one-to-one intervention is known as literacy lessons. Literacy lessons teachers must be certified or licensed to teach students identified for special education services or students who are speakers of languages other than English. They must have experience and expertise in working with the population of their specialty. In this video, you'll hear how these intervention specialists are making a difference. The theoretical base and teaching procedures are based on reading recovery, and literacy lessons is offered only in schools with reading recovery.
We have, of course, core, and then we have our reading recovery is the intervention, and then literacy lessons is then an additional intervention, an additional layer in those special populations to keep the framework of the whole school more cohesive.
Like reading recovery, teacher expertise is a hallmark of literacy lessons. Initial training involves graduate-level credit courses taught by a registered reading recovery teacher leader in consultation with a university training center. Following the training period, literacy lessons intervention specialists continue to participate in ongoing professional development.
The professional development is remarkable, whether it's reading recovery or literacy lessons. You have the same theory and the same acquisition of literacy.
Theoretically, I believe that these are all things that all learners, these are processes for all learners. Mari Clay's work and her theory should apply to all learners.
It really made me think and reflect on my teaching, and I value that experience.
Any literacy lessons teacher we have trained has said, this is the best training I have ever had. I wish I had known all this before. I think it really broadens their horizons and makes them understand, this comprehensive view of literacy for their students.
I agree, and I think that it really helps them when they're working even within their small groups to know what they're looking for in terms of observation of the students and exactly where they need to target that instruction. So I think it goes beyond even just the one-on-one work, and it goes throughout the rest of their day.
And I think that the learning never stops, even after that initial training year. It's that ongoing community that continues to grow.
We know that teachers benefit from the training, but what about the students? Outcome data are collected for each literacy lesson student, and implementers will share additional benefits for students and teachers.
Our strainer data showing that these subgroups of special ed and ELL are outperforming district and school averages, and it's because of the result of the instruction that they're getting.
And just seeing kids exit intervention for maybe the first time, which we hardly ever see.
And also a really high impact on our special education population.
In addition to this amazing progress of literacy lessons students, some have exited from special education services.
This is changing the trajectory of a child's life, that we were not able to do this up to this point. And children for various reasons, and I think that that's something else that reading recovery has taught us, that we're not really concerned about what the root cause is.
What we've seen at the building level and as a building principal, the collaboration between teachers and the overall belief that's changed when some of our most struggling students are seeing success. It's created an energy, a buzz about it can be done through the framework of the reading recovery by extending and connecting across all platforms.
What are some of the challenges and benefits of implementing literacy lessons in schools and districts? Let's hear from firsthand experiences.
When you talk about one-on-one services, it's a challenge to try to change mindset as to why we should take this on. But when we talk about multiple benefits, not just for students, but also teachers and their professional expertise and how they can maximize on the professional development in different positions and also utilize it in whole group, small group, one-on-one.
As district administrators, especially superintendents or curriculum directors, you've spent a long time researching the trains and the tracks that you want to implement in your district, and you have only a finite number of energy and resources, and the last thing that you want to hear about is implementing a new thing. So when someone is talking about reading recovery or talking about literacy lessons, you think of it as a separate new train or a new track even. And maybe a better way, a different way to think about it is, how can reading recovery or literacy lessons help get the trains moving faster and better that you've already put into place? And so trying to think about what are the current initiatives that you have and how could this align to making them more efficient and more effective?
The other major barrier we come across is financially, But when you see and hear these testimonials with kids, how can we not afford not to fund initiatives like this? So for us, scheduling and money, but they're both, in the end, there's never any doubts once we see the success that we've had through these initiatives.
And I think that, in terms of literacy lessons fitting into a comprehensive system, it all works within those, our MTSS layers, being able to just layer the interventions and having enough teacher knowledge, because it's what it comes down to, is teacher expertise meeting the needs of especially our most struggling students.
I think our part as educators and administrators and teacher leaders is that we are training teachers. So we want our teachers to continue to be better. Our only learners are not the students. Our teachers are our learners as well. And so I think as we talk to other administrators of, you take some of those strong teachers in your building and they're going to be even better.
And then just to add on, for both EL teachers and for special education teachers, not only does it impact the one student or two students that they're working with, it affects their entire teaching and how they teach all of the students in their classroom and the small groups. So I've seen so much growth in our literacy lessons teachers over the past couple of years.
It's impacting our district and our schools because we're building capacity. That's what's really happening in our district.
Our most reluctant learners who've felt nothing but just failure are now changing their success script. They are like, I can read. And that's probably one of the best things that we've seen at the school.
Literacy lessons relies on a theory of expectation, that all students can learn, and that teacher expertise is essential to meet the needs of this diverse group of learners. In addition to ongoing quantitative research, future research will also track stories of life-changing shifts in students as they become successful readers and writers. Our thanks to all those who shared their experiences in this video. Many Reading Recovery University teacher leader training centers and teacher training sites now offer this professional development option. Contact the University Training Center that provides support for your reading recovery implementation to see if literacy lessons training and ongoing support are currently offered. If you are not affiliated with a Reading Recovery Center, you can find a list of training centers and contacts on the RRCNA website. This video was produced by the Reading Recovery Council of North America. Copyright 2020.